Hi, this is Cecilia from Tarot by Cecilia, and this is your love and finance tarot guidance for the month of January 2017. Wow, can you believe it? Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome to 2017. This is going to be an incredible journey together to go forward. I don't know so much about this month, but we'll see where we are headed. So let's talk about the few things that I have down here. Not as much, okay, because of Mercury being retrograde and all, I suppose. But on the 3rd, Venus will enter Pisces. On the 4th, Mercury retrograde will go back into Sagittarius, okay? Then on the 8th, it will go direct. On the 12th, we have our annual full moon in Cancer. And also on the 12th, Mercury will re-enter Capricorn. On the 19th, the Sun enters Aquarius. And on the 27th, there's a new moon in Aquarius. So it's a short list. I feel as though I missed something, but no. I'm sure there's other things going on, but not the type of things we usually talk about. I should make mention, however, that on the 27th, the same day as the new moon, Mercury will leave shadow. Okay, so we'll be talking a little bit about that tail end of the month as we go through this. I'm looking at this and I'm like, all right, yeah, for me, where I live in the northern hemisphere, people are already having a brutal winter season. Okay, and so having patience to get the new year underway. Yeah, it's just one of those things. But I'll tell you, there is definitely, when it comes to most matters, all right, this is interesting because if someone is trying to coax you into doing something, trying to convince you, you should do this will be good for you, yada, 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 but they're doing it in such a way, maybe that you almost feel like it's manipulative. I see you really wanting no parts of it, okay? There is a serious, I think, adjustment that's taking place, with this, and part of it's because of the Mercury retrograde as well, having you really looking at things and seeing what works in your life, what doesn't, with Mercury retrograde, so much is up for review. So this is a good thing. I want to say that since the solstice, the one in December, okay, that you're really starting to, I actually want to say, apply wisdom, like real wisdom, to what your vision is for the change that you want in your life. Because it's just I don't know how to explain it. This is like such a mixed bag here. There were things that you feel like you lost, even if you won, okay? Because you overcame quite a bit. But, it's like a bittersweet feeling because there are no do-overs. There's no going backwards. There's no whatever. Your life is being reborn. And even if right now you have Mercury retrograde holding it up for most of this month, you still know, like even inside, you intuitively know that this is it. Like this is a year that's really going to count for something. So, it's not just typical January stuff where, you start off with, making intentions that you don't keep and all of that. It's different. It feels different. It's like you're sitting there and you're assessing all the wisdom that you've gained from all the things that have gone wrong and all the battles that you have fought. And you're like, I'm ready. I'm ready to be reborn into 2017. There's a part of you that, now I don't know, maybe this is in the spiritual realm, because it's kind of like when you get it and you say, all right, I see now how it all came about and now everything's happening. So like there's this part of you that wants to, I don't want to say help others. I want to say educate others. Like you would be happy to stand and talk to people that you know and tell them, not necessarily about your experiences and how you arrived at that place, but perhaps about how wondrous the universe is and how anything is possible to achieve, even when it doesn't seem to be possible. So there's a lot of realization taking place here, in other words. It seems like there's been enough time to think about it and really begin to grasp it. And once again, just because Mercury is retrograde doesn't mean that there can't be victories, okay? They do happen. Now, what's important with them? How to put it? Because it really depends on what you're doing. So I want to say, like, you have to back up what you're saying. In other words, it's not about making promises, but if you're discussing certain things, then there needs to be that reliability that's attached to it, and that, people are applauding you, not just for a job well done, but for that consistency that's there. I feel like there is, I want to call it a unification, some sort of a unification. And it almost feels like it could be, even though it needs a grassroots level, wouldn't it be wonderful if it went global? Because it's like that unconditional love for humanity. There is some form of success here that's being celebrated. Tradition has been tried, announcements are being made, and people are coming together, to discuss things, to put things in motion, to make things happen. This is everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Now, what's interesting here is, those who are, I want to say, without love commitments, all right, are really, wondering, I want to say, about the coming year, not just this month, not what's going on, but there is that part of you that says, all right, I'm going to make this year be different. All right, because you're sitting there thinking, like, even if someone good had come along, right? What are you going to do? It's like, for some reason, things don't work out. Maybe not with this person, but in the past. And, it's that fear of the other shoe dropping, all of those kind of things. So, what I see here is where it's possible to come across the right commitment. Is the timing right? No. Not if this is someone new. And it's not just about love, all right? This is about anything. Anything that you really want to undertake. You need to get all of your, I'm going to say, your skills together, your resources together, in order to manifest and create what you want. And I honestly think that some of this is about deals that are being made. Now, this is going to be anything, all right? And the important thing to remember is, if you're making any kind of a deal with anyone about anything while you're dealing with Mercury retrograde, then that deal needs to be with someone who was already in place, not someone new who comes along, okay? Because, if you, I want to say, romanticize the idea too much, you might, get yourself involved in something that is going to be a little too much to juggle. But I honestly think that whatever the commitment is, whatever it's toward, that it helps in the relief of stress, which is good. So it's kind of therapeutic for you in a way. That's interesting. There's also, the being grounded. So important, right? Being grounded. And, you do most of the beginning of January with that sun in Capricorn, all that earth energy. Right. Okay. So take in all of the details. There's more to it. You know, in the wisdom that you've accumulated, you also see what is not right. In other words, it's kind of glaring at you when something is wrong. Whereas before you may have passed by it and not paid that much attention, it feels like you're forced to say, I'm not good with that, whatever it is. So, you know, here again, Mercury retrograde brings things up for review. So this starts with your patience, and it still includes your patience. But with the patience, things begin to balance out for you. All right? And you start looking at the places that you are in your life and where do you fit in and which ones should you be holding on to. So while one might think that normally everyone would have gotten all that out of the way, you know, last year, I don't think last year was set up to do that. Okay, but here you are in January, and I think that this is a good base for the year, to be honest with you, to have you in these first couple of weeks still kind of looking things over and making that assessment, that deciding who you are, who you want to be, and where you're going. Yeah, so it's not a bad thing at all. You weren't supposed to hit the ground running on January the 1st. You're supposed to like really be kind of mapping out the whole year ahead and taking your time with it. We've been talking about this for a while, about taking your time. So happiness over the hard times. You know, when can you achieve it? Maybe March, you know, I think is kind of the beginning of that, where you're really starting to, it's not about getting away from the past, because you have, for the most part. It's about getting to the future. There is a difference, my friends. Remember, I keep saying that you're in a transition that started a little bit ago, and it's kind of taking you up to somewhere around June, and you're going to really be going, oh my goodness, like, where did I wind up here? Now, there's a tendency here toward, I want to use the word safekeeping, okay? And that could be anything. Just doesn't have to be just your finances and keeping things under control or building a nest egg. It's kind of like that, all right, like, this is mine. I have to hold on to this, and I have to take good care of it. It's more that kind of thing. So it's about making sure that things in your life are secure. And that's what the plan involves. But the plan doesn't necessarily have to be financial, unless that's the area where you really needed to shore things up. I know there's a great deal of organization around this, okay? And I think in a very amazing way, really, where you can just go and do whatever you want. It's all about being realistic with your options and what you can achieve. I'm liking this. I really, truly am. So, your identity, it becomes clearer by the day. There's still that, I want to say, letting go of some things. Now, insofar as like the plans and everything else and what to hang on to, what not to hang on to, who are you? Who are you in 2017, right? It's not totally clear, all right? You're still dealing with the unknown. You feel the rebirth that January and the new year bring. That's a given. That lasts, whether it lasts a day, a week, or the entire month. I'll be honest with you, I don't think we discussed it yet, but I don't think you feel it until the new moon, all right? So, and that would be the new moon in Aquarius on January 27th, because that's here. That's where, like, you're at the beginning of the year, and you're knowing that you're reborn into this. But when you get to the new moon, you're really realizing it. That's where there is a victory there for you. And it's a little bit of a victory over the unknown. Interesting. Now, I have talked about this in regard to the last new moon, which was in Capricorn, and how that one was only good for certain things because it was being, also had Mercury retrograde. So here we are. Like, your hope and faith in the universe are being renewed. I really think, like, when you get to the new moon in January, you're walking toward that future that you're looking for. Not wanting to deceive yourself or anyone else with what it's all about. But there's a definite victory there for you. Like, you have the clarity and you're able to take back your power. Now, let's talk about this for a minute, because I know for me, anything that I need to do, it's written down for January 28th. Because the 28th and the 29th are really the two best days of the month. If you want to get really specific, at least in my book they are, because I always have difficulty with Mercury. So on the day of the new moon, which is the 27th, Mercury leaves shadow. So 28th and 29th are both clear. And then on the 30th, Venus enters shadow. Now, they're not the only two planets. There are others that are in shadow or going retrograde or whatever, but they're not as of much concern at the moment as these two have been. Okay? So, that's where it's at. No longer at this new moon is there that fear. There's something about it, I think, where you're able to take hold of your power and achieve some form of a breakthrough with that, that confusion. Because there's a lot of confusion around it. And you have to admit, Mercury is good at creating confusion, right? So when you get to the tail end of the month, you're feeling much differently about things. And that's really where your year is going to feel like it begins. So, not a bad thing at all. Because you know what's happened after everything that's happened, all right? You've got your stable base now. And the question is, what are you going to build on it? Because that's where you're at when you get to the end of the month. And I don't think I'm going to go much further, because we have a lot to talk about next month. Okay? It's actually the month where there's change. This month, not as much, because of all of the, review of everything. But it's setting you up for the coming months and the changes that will be coming on board this year. So it's important for you to remember to keep your emotions balanced and to, I want to say, be wise in your choices. Okay? Also be mindful of those whom you meet at the tail end of the month, because those are the two most powerful days if you have any superstitions regarding Mercury or Venus. The 28th and the 29th will be free from the shadow of both. And the month ends on a very interesting note. So be curious to see when we come back again next month how much there is to see, because it's going to be a great deal. So I want to thank you all for listening, and I'll see you here again in February. Take care.